So I tend to get a lot of questions regarding my brows. I have a lot of people ask me if my brows are microbladed, and that's honestly like the best compliment ever. But when I tell them no, they are not, I get a lot of people that ask me what I use for my brows. So I wanted to do a brow tutorial. I'm going to show you guys my favorite thing to use for my brows is the Moodstruck Brow Obsession palette. It has everything you need for brows, and to apply it I use the Brow Artist brush. I love this brush because it's dual-ended, so you've got an angled side and then a flat side. So I'm going to show you guys exactly how I do my brows. So you'll see the Brow Obsession palette comes with 5 products. You have 2 different shades of powders, you have a wax, and then 2 different shades of highlight. And there are 3 different shades of Brow Obsession palettes. Altogether you have a blonde, brunette, and then a dark brunette. And I use the brunette Brow Obsession palette. So to get started, what I do is I use the angled side of my Brow Artist brush and I pick up a little bit of the wax. Now I actually opened up a brand new Brow Obsession palette. Let me show you guys the one that I was using before this. This one just came today. I was so excited because clearly I was needing it. I was like out of wax, getting low on the powders. So I opened up a new one for this video to really show you guys the full effect. But I pick up a little bit of wax on the brush. And then I like to start off with the darkest color first. So you'll see that is shade number 2. So I've got a little bit of wax on the brush. Now I go and I just pick up a little bit of the powder. And sometimes I'll go in, if I feel like I got too much powder on the brush, I'll go in and again and touch a little bit of the wax. It just depends on how it's picking up. If I feel like I've got loose powder on the brush, then I'll go and add a little bit more wax. But once I got the product on the brush, now I just basically go and I outline my brows. So I leave the inner portion untouched, and I start from about here and I outline the bottom arch of my brow and then the top arch of my brow. And then I do the same thing on the other side. Now the other thing about my brows is they do tend to end a little bit shorter than I would naturally prefer them to end. So I just take my brush and I just elongate the brow. So I just draw it on a little bit longer than where my brows naturally end. Now you'll see if you make a little mistake, you go a little bit over or under your outline, don't worry about it. We're going to clean that up at the end. Just focus on outlining the top part of your brow and the lower part of your brow. After I've got that outlined, I'll go in with a little bit more powder and I'll fill in any sparse areas that I have in the center of my brows here. All right, so now I'm going to use this same technique, but I'm going to use the lighter shade. So I'm going in with the number 1, using the same brush. I'm not worried about wiping any product off, but I like to use the lighter shade on the inner portion of my eye and the darker shade the middle to the outer portion. So I pick up a little bit of powder, a little bit of wax, and then I outline the bottom and top of my brows, connecting it into that darker shade. Okay, and then again, I'll go in and fill in any sparse areas, and I still use that lighter powder shade. And then a lot of times what I'll do is I'll take a spoolie brush and just comb through my brows. If you feel like you put a little too much powder on or you feel like you need to blend, this is a really nice step to make sure that you have a really smooth, cohesive brow. And then the last step is one that I absolutely cannot skip, and it is one that I highly recommend you do. I take the flat end of the Brow Artist brush and a little bit of my concealer, and I put a little bit of concealer on the end of the brush, and I go and I outline again my lower brow line and the upper brow line. So remember how I said if you make a little mistake, you get a little out of the lines? This is where you clean everything up, and this really makes your brows look really defined, really, really crisp, and really clean. Okay, so I've just gone and outlined using my concealer the lower portion and the upper portion of my brows. And I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna blend it all out. I like to just use my finger when blending it out. All right, and then the final step that I do with my brows is highlight. Now, a lot of times I just tend to use my eyeshadow if I'm using an eyeshadow palette or a custom eyeshadow quad. I usually have a light eyeshadow that I'm using to highlight the inner corner of my eye, and then I'll also use that on the top of my brow bone here to highlight underneath my brow bone. But if you are not using an eyeshadow like that, the Brow Obsession palette has you covered because you've got two creamy highlights here. You've got more of like a pinky tone one and then a gorgeous kind of shimmery champagne one. So you just take your finger, again, it's a creamy consistency, pick up a little bit, and then I just place this right onto my brow bone, and it's just giving you a little bit of a highlight. It's gonna catch the light, add a little bit of shimmer, and really help to kind of open up your eye. And that's it. That is my everyday brow routine. I am so grateful for the Brow Obsession palette. Obsession was the perfect word to use when naming this palette because I am obsessed with it. I have been using this palette to do my brows for years, and I'm telling you, the Brow Artist brush is the perfect brush to do your brows with. If you guys want to grab these products, I do have links for you in the description of this video. If you